grandbaby called. Just a minute. I'm going to turn off the... There, the do not disturb is turned on. I'm sorry, I'm such a mess. Let's get this party started now. Okay. Let me just make sure I'm on the right. Okay, yeah. All right, let me just pop this up. And if I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to get in, even though I'm a few minutes late. Mel and Bubba just called me. We wished each other happy Mother's Day. So, oh, and he's in a good mood today. And he acted like he was teething there for a little bit, but if you want me to shout you out, please say hello in the chat. I'm going to leave the chat down until I get, as many people who need to come in. I've got a whole video. Oh, Life with the Wolfie folks. Howie made a video. It doesn't, it ends abruptly because he still has trouble with, knowing when it's recording or not. But he got the race car out. He washed it. He put the stickers on it. So, and we're going to the races on the long weekend. If I can find another waterer for my chickens so that I don't freak out about them us being gone all weekend. And what else? There's a video of that for Life with the Volfies, and for our half-acre homestead, tomorrow is a weekend with the Follies, or with the Volfies, right? About what things we got done this weekend. Like you saw me planting the leeks and the onions and stuff, but I did some more things, and I made pancake mix and that kind of stuff. So this was a really productive weekend for us. I mean, Howie changed the oil in the motorhome. He cleaned out the line on the train. He went to check the transmission fluid, and there was rust in it or whatever. So someone told him to take a wire and a swab and swab out the transmission line, and that's what it sure and said. It was rust. So he cleaned that all out, and he's getting the coach ripping and ready. I got to remember to tell him to put in the solar charger and stuff. So if everybody's here, let me pop out the chat or the participants and say, whoops, hang on a second. I got to pop this out first. There we go. Now let me pop out the participants and say hello to, hey, Angela. Oh, speaking of Angela, I'll be right back, guys. She doesn't always get it unless I share it to her phone message. Again, I'll be right back. If it buffers, it's just because I'm sharing it outside the phone. All right, I'm back to stay. How's everybody doing? Hey, Angela M's, Aloha Seashell, Katrina Babe, Claire, EJ, Kathy Ponder. What are we thinking today? Do you ever get that when someone, says your name is Ponder? Karen, KB Cannon, Kitty Cat, Samoa, Linda Bob, Michelle Bedford, Misty Flusher, Minnesota Farmer's Wife, g'day, Sherry Leach, Simply Jessica, and Tina Elliott. All right, let's put this back over to chat, live chat. So what's everybody up to today? I've been really busy. Hey, bird lover. Sharon Addict. Hi. Are you in the ER, Sherry, or are you back home? Sherry Leach, are you in the ER or are you back home? I know we had some scary things going on with you this weekend. You sold 43 jams in your sale yesterday. That's awesome. Lazy watching old movies. I've been going since I got out of bed. Yesterday, Howie had to go to Canadian Tire, and he woke me up and said, do you want to come to Canadian Tire for the ride? And I said, sure. And I did. but I couldn't get out to shop anywhere because just getting in and out of the truck on the passenger side, because I always go in with my outside leg. And so to get up in the passenger side, I had to use my right leg. And then I was planting this week. And so I'm kind of bummed up my back a little bit and my hip, but it's not too bad. We did some long overdue retail therapy and it was lovely. I can't wait. Transplant flowers from one bed to another. Hey, um, you went to church first. Okay. Strawberry jelly in the canner. My daughter sent me a picture of her grapevines. Every inch there are grapes. Well, hopefully, I heard from Mel, and she said that the new place has rhubarb in the backyard. She said enough that we'll ever want to have. So I said, can I have some? Like when I come down, can I get some of the roots? She said, sure. Because last year I used rhubarb juice and raspberries to make raspberry jelly. And oh, well, raspberry rhubarb jam. And without the actual physical rhubarb, but just the juice, was it ever good? Hey, Edie, how are you, darling? I'm tired. I'm tired. You know, it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, the fur baby moms, the adoptive moms, the stepmoms, the grandmothers, everybody who is a mother to someone or something. Happy Mother's Day. Um, I'm pretty tired. We're having pancakes and sausages for supper because that's what I want. And what's really funny is I thought, okay, I'm going to make my pancake mix. I got to make my instant pancake mix so that and no, Dylan Mulvaney, you can't be a mom. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. It must have been my doppelganger. How did you make your juice? I didn't make it. I bought a bottle of and it was clarified. It had been microfiltered. And I just found that I like jams that aren't as sweet. I not that they're not sweet, but they got a zing to them. But I don't like rhubarb in chunks. I really don't. And Howie hates it. But he won't eat my rhubarb raspberry jam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some rhubarb and I'm going to juice it in my Omega juicer. Right? I'm going to juice it. I have one raised bed for strawberries, started it last summer, and now it's loaded. I need something to keep the birds from getting them. Take a hula hoop. Now hear me. Take a big hula hoop, cut it in half. Take some tent stakes, the plastic ones. Drive them down into the ground with this much above. Put the hula hoops on the tent spikes at either end of your row and cover it with some kind of fabric mesh, right? Don't use plastic. You and me both, how I love my jam as well. Well, I don't eat a lot of jam, but I have two favorite kinds of jam. I have blueberry blackcurrant and raspberry rhubarb. And that's, Howie's is strawberry. But I mean, when there's nothing else, we have, hey, Andrew, rhubarb crumble and custard. Ooh. Hey, hot child in the city. Hey, Black Rock, how are you doing? Not with any cloth. Because you want the rain and the sun to get through. And if you put any cloth over it, it would be too heavy and it would sag if it got wet. So what you need to do is you go and you buy that, how do you say it, toile or toll? The stuff they put under skirts and stuff. I've used that for so many things. One of the things I used to do when the driveway in Gatineau was open is I made mesh, not curtains. I made a mesh to fit the car door window. It's mesh on both sides, and it had fabric across the bottom, and you just pull it right over. You open the car door, pull it right over the whole top of the car door, shut the car door, and put your window down. You're mosquito proof. I mean, I've used that stuff for everything. Tulle, thank you, Tulle. But Tulle is hi, Robin Rose. Tulle is one of those things. It's like a fine net. You know, they used to call it mosquito bar in the old days. Hey, Angie Mac, Robin Rose, hi. So, I mean, you know, it comes in handy. And then when you put it over the hoops, right, you can buy these. These are extra large. These are extra large clothes pegs. And I tell you, they will go over. Let me see if I got anything thicker than. Look at this. This is a regular, look. And you can hold the tool on the hoop with these, or just any kind of clip you can get at the dollar store, right? That's how I kept I thought I kept the butterflies off my cabbage. By the time the butterflies were hitting my starting to hit my cabbage, they were, and cousin Angie pointed out that they were already big enough to harvest. So why worry about it? Would a mesh screen like for windows work? I have some of that. Absolutely. As long as it lets in light and air and keeps the birds out. And you won't have to do it for long. I found fine mesh at the dollar store, and as the plants get taller, I raise the mesh up the stakes. There you go. Hey, Ninja Clan Kathy. Hi, darling. How are you? So, I mean, there's many ways you can do it, right? Thank you, Deborah. Hi. Happy Mother's Day to you too, I hope. If it be keeping with the situation. Where was that? From Christmas Carol with Alistair Sim. Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge, if it be keeping in the situation. You're welcome, Linda. You're welcome. I think I'm going to get a couple of hanging strawberry baskets for just out there by the pool, because I'm building a lettuce tower, and hell, I might just make the lettuce tower. You know what I mean? I have an idea for a lettuce tower. Now, there's two ways I can do it. One is with fencing, and the other is with the green water bottles, that the 5-liter water, or the 5-gallon water bottles that you buy, but there's no deposit on them. With those, I've got 2 of those I can use. Save the spikes from old solar lights to use on both ends of hula hoop to spike the ground. There you go. Yes. Well, that's why I was a little bit late, because her and Bubba called, and neither of my sons have called, and I got a text from Howard this morning, but everybody else told me Happy Mother's Day. And you know what, guys? It's one of those things. I got this theory about how society is being divided by dividing people up into groups: Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day, Gay Pride Day, Valentine's Day, all the ones that have no really kind of spiritual thing, right? And it's all A, to feed the economy, and B, what good is it for me to say Happy Mother's Day to everybody if there's some people out there who ache because they could never have children? Isn't that leaving them out? So I don't really celebrate it. I've given up, I've given up a lot. Like Briar has taken me out for breakfast on Mother's Day and stuff like that. But who just lost her mom. The day was, yeah. And you know what? One of my friends from high school that I used to date, he just lost his mom like yesterday or the day before yesterday. So, I mean, yeah, it's really, it's, with all the inclusivity that they're trying to include everybody, they're just putting more dividers between us by making people feel left out. We are not meant to conform to each other's standards or ways of thinking or ways of living. We can share the things we understand, or the theories that we have, or share our ideas on faith and stuff. But you can never put those things on other people, right? This is where society has made the greatest mistake, right? Because, I gotta go, hang on. I gotta go, remind me what we're talking about. I gotta go shake the sausages for our pancakes and sausages. It's a good thing I checked. They were 5 minutes away from being burnt. So we got to stop doing, in my mind, we got to stop doing all the things we have to celebrate each other, not what we think we stand for, but for the triumphs in our daily lives. That's what we do here. We celebrate each other, right? But if the moment you put a label on the people you're celebrating, you're excluding somebody, no matter how you slice it, right? Gracie, are you here? Or are you outside with Daddy? I got one way to find out. Here she goes. Hi, boys. Come here, say Mum. Come here. Gracie, come up and say Happy Mother's Day. Yes. Oh, the baby. Oh, the baby. Hey, Mama Darrell. You've been sleeping with Mum while Dad's out in the coach, eh? You've been sleeping out in the coach on the weekend, let Mummy sleep in? Oh, does it feel good? You're just hanging on. Oh, yeah. She likes it when I do it this way because we're kind of heart to heart, aren't we, sweetie? Do you want a treat? Would you like a treat? Would you like a treat? This is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing. Mwah. Where you go, baby? Because every little thing is gonna be all right. So, oh, shoot. Oh, I lost my chat. Little bird by my doorstep. Okay, there's the chat popped out, and we need to put it on live chat. I'm learning to enjoy every day by day, day by day. These world events are out of my control. Not out of control, yes, but they're also out of our control. So what good is it to worry about stuff we have no control over? We have control over our own lives to an extent. Um, Hi, Lori, Claire Quinn. So, you know what I mean? To an extent, even birthdays. You know what I mean? Not like Christmas or Thanksgiving. Those have purpose. You know what I mean? Whether they are pagan or just celebration of the harvest, those are spiritual holidays to me. But Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, even wedding anniversaries, I just have grown to not really give two hoots and a holler about any of it. Hi, Claire. How are you? Um, so yeah, living day to day, living day to day is so important. Why? Living each day, day by day. Because if you've got one foot in yesterday, I mean, there's a reason why the rear view mirror is so small and the windshield is so big, right? You're only supposed to glance backwards every once in a while to make sure that there's no danger behind you or to make sure you're leaving all the right things behind. But always, 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 90% of you is supposed to be looking, in the moment, right? See, you could be looking out the windshield at where you're going and in the rear view mirror about where you've come from, but you are the one in the car, right? This is you, right? Even if there's somebody else in the car with you. Technically, our journeys, they coincide with many people's over many years. But the truth is, everybody walks their journey alone. And the whole thing about inclusivity is to drop all the labels. We're just people. We're human beings, not human doings. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying my little garden. I love working in my garden and watching my plants grow. Yeah, it's going to be a really busy week for us this week. I'm waiting for my garden soil to show up. And Howie emptied 2 beds already and filled the other one so I could plant my onions and my leeks. I transplanted my peppers and my cabbages into boxes and bins because they were choking in the cups. So, hey Natalie. So the best I can hope for is a couple of nights this week that Howie's going to go out and turn the beds over, throw out any weeds or clumps of grass that are growing up because I'm pretty sure Jimmy Carroll just gives me a piece of field, digs it up. I haven't seen any like used to be you'd find things like twine, baling twine and stuff in it, and you knew you were getting the manure pile, the old manure pile, but it's still great soil, right? I'll plant the garden after the 19th because of the last frost date. Well, I threw 3 peppers in the last leek bed because they were crowded anyway. My tomato plants, holy cow, how much happier they are since I took them out of those cups. And that's what made me think, well, I may have to squeeze them all into a box or a bin, but at least, they're gonna have some air too, right? I dug out a flower bin and got a banana box full of big rocks. Holy crap, really? Well, I'm looking at the beds that Howie's emptied so far, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna be planting like celery and stuff in there. He should just rake up all the bark and stuff off the deck and throw it in the beds that are half empty. Anyone who is having emotional issues, please contact me. You can get through it. Well, thank you, Lori. Um, we all need to be there for each other, even though we're not qualified. You don't have to be medically qualified to help somebody through a rough patch, right? I seem to never have time That's why my phone is always, people phone me and go, why can't you answer your phone? Because I'm working and my phone shut off, right? I check my messages and stuff. But, oh, and here's another thing. Well, no, I better talk about that. There are giveaways coming up on our half-acre homestead. It's rock after 3 inches of dirt. We'll take the rocks out and use them for something else. Hey, Freaky Geek, thank you. Yeah, my peppers have been blooming on my dining room table. I really need to get things in the ground. So the way we want to look at it is hopefully every night this week, Howie's going to turn over a bed or two and take the weeds out. And if my soil doesn't show up this week, I'm going to have to go and get a truckload somewhere else. You know what I mean? On the weekend. And this weekend is this coming weekend is the May long weekend. And we're going to be at the track. And then the weekend at the end of the month, we're putting up the pool. God willing, we get some help. And then the weekend after that, we're back at the track because Howie's boss is bringing the entire body shop out to watch the races. And see, his boss has his sponsorship stickers, like his paint job on the car, right? So, I mean, every weekend is going every day, period, from here on out until I crash in this chair in January, and go, where did the year go? That's when I rest, right? But every day from here on out, he's out there whippersnipping my garden. God love him. He changed the oil in the coach. He cleaned the transmission lines. He's working on the fridge. He's fixed the electrical. God love him, and he's now out whippersnipping my garden. I'm going to make a rock walkway out of the back door because it just gets muddy. Well, I'm going to be using my solar battery charge thing, my OPS power pack. I'm going to actually be using that as a wind anchor for one corner of the I thought about this because we don't have any real anchors, right? So I'll use that to anchor down one corner of our sunshade. And then I'll get Howie just put the solar panels up on the sunshade, right? Even if he has to like pin them there with safety pins or whatever. My strawberry planting is an experiment. I'm going to make a rock walkway out the back door because it just gets muddy. That's a good idea. Hey, Diane Mason from the Florida Keys. So, got to tell you that Trudeau had the Bill C-11 pass through the Senate. And it is supposedly to force streaming sites like Netflix and Amazon and all that to offer more Canadian content. And it's like, man, we're going to watch what we want to watch. And the thing is it was so ambiguously written that they could actually start taking control and censoring me, right? Like these live streams. So I can only hope that, Trudeau gets booted out and somebody comes in with some common sense and fixes all the crap he's done. But that has passed, so we do not know the future of my Rumble channel. We're just going to keep going. I'm hoping Howie, I said it earlier, I'm hoping Howie or I will pick up a couple of, couple of strawberry baskets, like about this. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? A couple of strawberry baskets about that size. Am I going to hit you? No. To plant, to just hang outside. I'm trying. Hi, Sarah. I am doing my best to plant every square inch of ground I can find. I keep forgetting. I have to go on my local Facebook page and ask if anybody needs fill. Because, or not needs fill, has fill they want to get rid of, right? That can include rocks, sand, gravel, dirt, broken bricks, broken cement blocks, chunks of concrete, brush, wood, doesn't matter. need to fill the ravine. Have a great day, Bev. I have to get to work. Okay, Deborah, take care, sweetheart. Hey, Linda, Cheryl, how are you? You have a problem with deer? Do yourself a favor. Get 4 pieces of dowling or 4 steaks or something, and take 2, go to the corners of your garden, and get yourself a couple of bars of Irish Spring, some string, and some stakes. Okay? First, stake around your garden with as many stakes as it takes. And take this garden string and keep running it. Hold the bar of soap. And then, I don't have anything to work with here. Take the bar of soap and then run till it's like digging through the, almost digging through or cutting through the Irish Spring. Coat that string with Irish Spring soap. Tie it to all the stakes around your garden, and then nail or impale a half a bar of Irish Spring soap on each corner of your garden. Or you can tie a half a bar in your apple, try in a knee-high stocking, put it in your apple trees. You know what I mean? It's a highly deodorant soap that smells like people. Grow bags. So far, they're working great. What are you growing in the grow bags, honey? I have to find a garden soon. I have a deep freezer with farm ground beef in it. We have 48 pounds. My husband said it can hold 130. Any suggestions? Where do you live, Angie? I'm not sure I would do that, Claire. I wouldn't necessarily slice it up and put it in the garden. Because that it depends on how much. But what you could do, because or you could just take a cheese grater and grate some Irish Spring all around the border of your garden. All around the border of your garden. Eastern Washington State. But I mean, people have done that. But if I would just grate it up and sprinkle it around the outsides of the garden and under your apple trees and stuff. Only they said that you should scatter in your lawn. Huh. That's good. That's a good idea. A vegetable peeler, Joe Mama. I am so sick of crappy can openers. I spent 14 bucks on a can opener. Still got a plastic handle, a plastic turn knob. They're just crap. They're just crap. So, Aces, where's Aces? Hey, Aces, how are you? Thank you. So, I don't necessarily have a problem with deer. They do go right down across my I call it my parkland, right down the ravine past the garden. They don't go in my garden. Why? They'll eat my apple trees. They won't go in my garden because it's up against the house and it's the ravine at the back. There's no real escape. It's boxed in. I'm going to have a problem with it later when the garden gets, that part of the ravine gets filled and then topsoiled and then garden soil. I'm hoping next year. And if that, like this year, if I can get a couple of loads of fill in, a couple loads of topsoil in between now and winter, right? Next year in the spring, I'm going to rent a digger and I'm going to get Howie to move my apple trees over to the new spot at the back. And then that across the back of it so that the roots will actually hold the topsoil in place. Does that make sense? Gotta go. Grandkids are on their way. Okay, darling. Okay. I love you, Nat. Mwah. Because I just can't stand the thought of buy a Cutco can opener. I don't even know what that is. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. How is none of it? You guys must be getting eaten alive by black flies, or the black flies a month away yet. Yeah, and that, okay. Thank you. I don't know who asked about the freezer. Here we go. Start cruising the not discontinued, the guys, I got some timers. The racks in the produce department, the markdown racks in the produce department. Anything in there is usually good enough, or most of it is usually good enough that you can bring it home and, wash it, chop it up, put it on trays and throw it in the freezer. Things like peppers and onions and stuff like that. And then you throw them in freezer bags. Remember that? Remember I ran out of the peppers that I did in the fall or at the end of summer? I found a whole whack on a clearance rack, and I now have 2 big 1-gallon bags full of peppers still going. So, and then there is not necessarily farmers markets, but I mean, I would go out, for Sunday drives in season, when corn's in season, when tomatoes are in season. Like tomatoes come in around here around August, and corn's around the end of July, beginning of August, and all that stuff. And if you go to a vegetable stand, now I did this once. I'm going to tell you. You can also dehydrate. Exactly. You can dehydrate, you can, you can freeze, right? But she was asking specifically about the freezer. But I remember one year when we lived in Colburn, and the Van Egmans, that was their name, Johnny Van Egman and his wife and they have 5 kids. I believe they were almost all daughters. There was one son maybe. And one year they wanted a swimming pool like mine, like the one I have. And John says, "Well, what are you going to do to earn it?" So he said, "I'll tell you what. I'll plant a field of sweet corn, but you guys got to pick it and you got to sell it at the market. I'll plant it and I'll take it to market." And they were selling corn at $1.50 a dozen. Now, this is back when corn was $3 a dozen. $3 a dozen. This is a long time ago. My kids were kids, right? And I saw the sign, corn $1.50, and I slammed on the brakes. I said, hey, get in there. Come on. Like I told Howie, stop. We're going to go get some corn for supper. And he goes, "Bev, it's $1." Now, this is where we have to change our thinking. This is a long time ago. He said, "Bev, what kind of corn are we going to get for $1.50? I said, "I don't care. It's cheap." Right? Well, we pulled in the driveway, and I said, "How much?" And they had a whole bunch out on a picnic table, and he said, "Oh, that was just picked this morning. It was almost supper time. I'll go get you some more." So him and his wife jumped the fence and brought us some corn. And I said, and I'm looking at him going, "How much for a bushel?" And he goes, "What do you want it for, canning or freezing?" I said, "Both." And he said, "Tell you what, wait," I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. He said, "By then, the sweetest of the corn for eating off the cob will be done, and the kernels will be getting bigger but they're perfect for freezing and stuff." So he said, "Come back." So we went back with the station wagon. He said, "Bring feed bags or whatever." He said, because he said now, and he drove over with us in his truck to the cornfield that was like essentially done for sweet corn. And he said, "Take what you want," because everything else was like they couldn't use it all. We filled the back of a 1987 Buick LeSabre estate wagon to the roof with corn for free. So it pays to get to know your local farmers, right? And I kid you not. Now, I don't like making canned corn. I prefer it frozen or whatever, right? But now, if I knew then what I know now, I would have been just chucking them whole in the freezer with all the husks right on them like I do now. But I'll tell you what, we had turkeys and meat birds and laying hens. Now, we were on a 1/4 acre then. We had a very tolerant, close neighbor. And we backed that Buick LeSabre estate wagon because the back door It seated 8 people with seatbelts because there was a rumble seat in the back with seatbelts. So the back door would either open this way or up. So how not up, or you would put the window down and then the tailgate would come down, or you could open it up. Howie put the window down, dropped the tailgate, and we just sat there. Hey, Mary! We just sat there shucking corn. And every time if we found something with a worm in it or an eaten spot, we'd break it off and we'd throw it to the birds. Well, there was so much corn that whenever we found a worm, we'd just we shuck it and throw the whole thing in. The turkeys and the broiler birds just laid there. They all had a pile probably 2 feet high and approximately the size of a wash tub, deep and round in each pen. And those things ate sweet corn. Anything that we found that wasn't good for freezing. And so we'd shuck, throw some to the birds, shuck, and we filled 5 laundry baskets full of corn on the cob. And that was half of it. And so I was days cutting it off the cobs and freezing it, cutting it off the cobs and canning it. And then one night I phoned my friend Heather, who I used to buy my eggs from before I got laying hens. She taught me so much. I said, Heather, do you got any plastic containers? And she says, what do you mean? I said, I've got corn. I said, do you need corn? She said, no, I got tons. And I said, I've run out of stuff. I had them in milk bags and freezer bags, and my freezer was half full of corn off the cob. So how are you now, Sherry? Did they get the pneumonia under control? I find the birds don't really like corn, but they love the worms the corn brings. I'm even the pupa type of hornworms out in the soil this year. Squirrels love the corn. Well, I mean, those broilers, I'm only feeding those birds once a day. And I've gotten grit for them. I'm only feeding them once a day. Howie is now leaving he now fills a 5-gallon pail of water and puts it by the chicken coop door inside the greenhouse for me. So I don't have to go back and forth from the spigot watering them every day. I have corn for drying and grinding. I already have I have a whole half-gallon jar of dried corn. On a strong antibiotic. Is it cephalexin? Because that stuff is really strong. What goes in corn cob jelly? I imagine it's corn. You boil the corn cobs. It's called poor man's honey. You boil the corn cobs and then you do the same with any other jelly. I guess you'd use pectin. I don't know if there's any in there, but they're really, I've never seen the sense of making corn cob jelly because I have apple jelly coming out the yin yang. You know, I've got pears, right? So it's it's IV administered. Okay. With the yes. Corn cob, sugar, and pectin. So you cut the corn off the cobs, right? And you boil the cobs. And then you strain it, and then you add pectin and sugar. And remember, when you're making jelly, no more than 6 cups of juice to 6 cups of sugar at one time when you're cooking it down, or it won't necessarily set properly. Yeah. So, I mean, but I don't see why. I don't see why, that for me, it's not vancomycin. Okay. Vancomycin. Okay. But I mean, that's kind of like, there's lots of jellies you can make, like dandelion jelly and all this stuff. But the truth is, we don't eat a lot of sweets. And like tonight, we're having, sausages and pancakes for supper. That's real maple syrup. That's not liquid sugar with flavoring, right? So, um, I think what I'm going to do is, oh, and I said to Howie, grab me a handful of them chives out there because my chives were like this big from last year. Wild grapes and rose hips made jelly. Oh, now that's, you know what? That's really good for you too, right? I would also like to try watermelon rind jelly too. I have one vegetarian kid that I'm always trying to figure out. Well, I'll tell you, watermelon season's coming and I haven't figured out where I'm going to plant watermelon. But I should find a spot. I really should find a spot. I found a spot. There's a garbage pail out back. And I was going to tell Howie to fill that up with water with the hose in the thing. But it's got holes in the bottom. The big green garbage pail. Get Howie to fill that up with soil when it comes. I'll put watermelons right in it. There we go. What are rose hips? Rose hips are the round kind of weird like berry that comes off of usually wild roses or rugosa roses. And they're like a red berry. And if you open them, they're full of seeds. But those are massively strong in vitamin C. Massively powerful in vitamin C. So if you can get rose hips and dry them, they make wonderful vitamin C rich tea in the wintertime. So rose hips come on in the fall. So I mean, so when Howie went out and he said, well, how many do you want? And I'm looking at them and they're like this tall, right? And they're fresh, right? Not full of weeds at the moment, right? And I handed him a pair of scissors and I said, just cut them all down to that high. Bring them all in. And he brought them in and I cut them up with scissors and I put them on my dehydrator at 95 degrees and I got a pint jar of dried chives. And it's only May. Dried rose petals, you can put them in soap. You can put them in tea. Rose hips and rose petals makes a lovely tea. Do you add it to regular tea or just use it straight? You can use it straight. You know, does everybody ever watch that couple that live on a farm out in the Turkish mountains? You know, where she makes all these breads and great big jars of tomatoes and all those things. And they all do it cooking outside, right? They all do it cooking outside. And well, there's potpourri too. Hi, Maria Lee. How are you? And at the end, whatever she's made and he's gleaned and whatever, they make a little meal sitting outside and they put a kettle on and they have this glass teapot. And, you know, one day they'll throw in, you know, some, a dried juniper berry and some, you know, oat grass or whatever. You never know what they're going to put in it, but it can be raspberry leaves. It could be, just remember, if you're pregnant or trying to get pregnant, be easy on the raspberry leaf tea because it can cause, it's meant to strengthen your uterus, but if you drink it too much, it can cause your uterus to contract. So if you're pregnant, it's good to have a cup now and again. And then right near the end of your pregnancy, drink it every day to help your uterus strengthen for the birth. And they line the house with pots of flowers. Yes. So I was talking to my son Arthur, and he's putting in an induction stove in their new house. And I went, you can't do that. I said, well, I didn't say that. I said, don't throw out the electric stove. And he goes, why? We have no use for it. I said, for canning. He said, Mom, I'm not designing my kitchen around your canning. I said, it's not my canning, it's your wife's. You know, she's asked me to teach her to can, and by God, I'm going to do it. So I was talking to her earlier today, and I said, you know, once a month throughout the canning season and the harvest season, I'm going to come down early in the morning. We're going to go to the farmer's market. and we're going to get whatever is in season. And then we're going to do it all in the kitchen, and we're going to make Arthur carry the canner outside and put it on my propane burner with legs. Right? Well, yes, it's my joy, right? It's hi, Ace. Exactly, right? So, like, and Mel's like, well, learning to can is really important, right? So I'm like, hallelujah. I said, Mel, you have no idea how happy you've made me. I said, I've taught a lot of people on the internet how to can, but to stand with somebody and teach them side by side how to do it, and the fact that you asked to learn how to do it made my heart sing with joy, because this is my heritage to pass on, right? I have not seen that. I have not seen that. But anyway, so you can make tea out of anything. Like I watched this movie once where, oh no, she does. She already knows. So, I mean, one way or another, I'm going to be going down there, or she's going to be coming up here throughout the summer and harvest season, because I'm going to help her stock her pantry. We're going to buy, she's got jars, right? And we're going to do beans, and we're going to do, tomatoes and cabbage, and we're going to, because they all come out at the same time, tomatoes and cabbage. Thank you, Linda. I'm going to go check. Ow! That wasn't really an ow. That was an old fart noise. Hang on, folks. I want to peek out the bathroom window, see what Howard's doing. Oh, God love him. Hey, Doo-Doo. God love him. He's out there whippersnipping around my garden beds. Some of them are got this foot-long grass in it. He's cutting it all down. Well, what I'm going to do, is I'm going to teach her how to do it. And then this Christmas, I'm going to get her a canner. I'll get her a propane stand too. Propane burner on legs. It's not just to prevent bitterness, Lori. The dandelion leaves and the roots are the strongest in medicinal properties in the spring, right? They're just, pumping out there. In the fall, they're tired, right? But I am actually going to be picking dandelion leaves this week and juicing them as soon as I find them, and juicing them and freezing the juice so that I can make my green juices. Got done harvesting. Hi, Joanna Parrish. Harvesting rhubarb. Awesome. I had black widows in my shed, and every day for 2 months I sprayed under the door and they all disappeared. There you go. So, I mean, there's a lot of things coming and a lot of things going on. And my time is strictly organized. That is every day of the week where I'm working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I work 7 days a week. But you know what? What else would I do? So hopefully, how you'll get those beds turned over, or a couple of them turned over each night this week. And if I don't get my garden soil soon, then we're going to have to go get some. I'll take my truck. Well, it will be after next weekend. So, but yeah, I mean, I bought them a dehydrator one year, so they're getting a canner this year. If I can find one under 200 and some dollars. Lamb's quarter is really good for you too, especially in the spring. And you can you can take lamb's quarter and stinging nettles and you just rinse them off and make sure you wear gloves with the stinging nettles. And you can stir fry that stuff and add that into soups and all kinds of stuff. Well, of course I'm a busy mom. What else am I going to do? Sit and knit? God, I wish I could. Wish I had the time. But I do believe so. They're almost like a mint shape of leaf, but they're flat. I got an electric canner. You know what? FYI, I wouldn't trust an electric canner. I know Rose Red Homestead did all these tests, but she's still, just a person, right? They're not recommended for pressure canning. Kenny is making a whole Thanksgiving for Mom's meal this year. I'm on roll duty. He even did the dishes. I feel in trouble. Ooh. You can't spend an ear like you can spend a quarter. That's true. Well, listen, guys. I was bit by a black widow in 4 places on my hand. I popped every bite, and rinsed it well with hydrogen peroxide. Not what my doctor recommends, but it worked. Well, there you go. That's right, Joe. That's right. No electric canner has been approved for pressure canning. I'm going to try a steam canner this year for my fruits. Well, I mean, I could, but I've got all these pressure canners, and even the ones where, I don't have some of the ones that are like 15, 20 years old, more than that, are used for boil bath canners if I run out of time, if I run out of pots, right? So, okay, now listen, guys. Excuse me. Because I'm losing my molars, my teeth are getting gappy. See the gap in here? I used to have such beautiful teeth. And so everything gets in them. Now listen, hey, Mary Cook, it's time for me to go and start dinner. The sausages are cooked. They're just keeping warm on minimum. And I've got to go and make some pancakes for supper. And then I'm going to actually have a shower first, because then I can watch TV with hubby tonight. Easier for me to use, does not weigh as much compared to a full water canner. Well, the thing is I won't buy something extra just to have it when I have something that will do, like all my stock pots and stuff. Thank you, Lori. Vitamin C, good for the adrenals. But I dried rose hip and steeped them in tea. That's perfect. You can put them in your regular tea or make them in a tea all your own. Now listen, for those of you who want to leave now before the prayer, take care. God bless. Know you're loved and uplifted in my heart and my prayers every day. But for those who want to stay for the closing, spiritual nourishment, because even prayer, can trigger, the word prayer can trigger some people. So let's share some spiritual upliftment and nourishment with each other. Those who don't want to stay, there is no judgment if you leave. That's your bag, not ours. And for the rest of us, will you all help me close with some spiritual nourishment? We're going to do some... oh, yeah, I'm going to be making juice, Mary Jo. Trust me. So let's take some deep breaths. Excuse me. Problem is I have almost no nose hairs. So my nose is constantly running and I have no adenoids, so I constantly have post-nasal drip. All right. Now let's do some deep breathing. Breathe in the light. Breathe out the darkness. Breathe in the positivity. Breathe out the negativity. Breathe in peace. Exhale chaos. You got me? All right, here we go. Hey, God, creator and source of everything. How's it going? Thank you, God, for the wonderful sunshine and the able bodied work that Howie and I were able to get done this weekend. We never, ever, ever take our capabilities for granted anymore, God. So we thank you for every task we complete. Thank you for the sunshine and my grandbaby and my children and my friends and family on YouTube. We lift each other up in a way that no one else can. God, there's people that have a hard time concentrating when their husband's playing with a dog outside their room, their office. There are, oh, my bun's coming apart too. There are folks that, there are folks that are so wrapped up in fear. And it's not that we don't have things to fear, God. It's just that if we have faith, and, I understand, God, faith doesn't mean that we're just going to sit on our butts and let you take care of everything. Faith means we put our energy towards getting through every day and preparing for the future and knowing that you're helping us in our endeavors, right? Because we know you help those who help themselves, right? But there's a lot of people that are so worn down, tired, in pain, alone, addicted, neglected, rejected, poor, malnourished. All these people, God, who have so many burdens that they have a hard time looking up for help. God, we lift those people up to you. May the light of your love shine down on them and give their hearts peace and direction and love so that they don't feel alone. No, and that they, God, we ask that you fill our hearts and our bodies with your light of your love so that we can go forward shining the light of your love for those who are fighting against the darkness. And as we join hearts and hands and gather that light, we become more powerful in your love, God. So thank you for that. Amen. Namaste. Blessed be, merry meet. Peace be with you. Shalom. Walk in the shining light of God's love. Doesn't matter the words you use, but the tone and the intent mean everything. Don't you receive things better or any news better when it's given to you with love, right? Take care. God bless, and we'll see you guys Thursday. Mwah!